Good evening, viewers, and welcome to this edition of NTV Sports Page. It's Thursday, 10th of June, and I'm Curtis Morton. In our headlines, VOJN says thanks, and in our feature for this evening, an exclusive interview with Miss J.D. Keynes, PRO of the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association. We'll take this break, and I'll be right back. Well, I'm back and we start with cricket. West Indies captain Craig Brathwaite said his team is supremely focused and feeling confident as they enter the first Betway Test match against South Africa. The two-match series bowled off earlier today at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground in St. Lucia. The skipper spoke via Zoom on Wednesday following an intense training session at the venue and noted that all 13 members of the squad were fit and ready. I have a lot of effort during training and the guys have put in a lot of work. We are very excited about the series. It will be a challenging one and you can see it in their eyes that they are ready, Brathwaite said. West Indies are unbeaten in Test cricket this year. They won 2-0 away to Bangladesh in February and drew 0-0 with Sri Lanka while they toured in March, April. These results helped them to move up to 6th spot in the ICC Test match rankings, surpassing South Africa, who are now in 7th spot. Well, hopefully we'll have some great news for you tomorrow, but sad news for us here in Nevis. Kieron Powell is not in the starting 11, but will still rally around the West Indies. Sticking with cricket, the VOJN Primary School was one of the schools recently expressing thanks to Tamara Lowe and Cricket Charity for the donation of cricket gear. Let's take in this.
Good afternoon once again. We are now here at the Violet O. Jeffers Nichols Primary School. This is the second school which we are visiting. And we have a very keen group of young boys and young girls here who most likely will be making very good use of those cricket gear which you sent from England for them. It is my understanding that there are about 10 clubs in England which support this initiative. Some of them donated bats, pads. Some of them assisted in holding the gear until they were ready for shipment. And one person, I gather, contributed £700 for the shipment to Nevis. We'd like to thank all those persons who contributed. And this afternoon, what we want to do is to get Violet O. Jeffers Nickel Primary School to say a thank you to those persons who contributed. So without further ado, I will ask a representative from the school to make some remarks.
To Tomaralo, the cricket charity and other clubs that donated equipment, we would like to say thanks. We at VOGN, we are very grateful, and again we say many thanks.
Thank you very much, short and sweet. And we like you, the children, to say thank you to those persons in England.
Thank you for the cricket years labor. Hooray!
Hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hip, hip, hip.
Hooray!
All right, so hopefully one of you might make the Nevis team a few years from now. Which one of you? Okay, good. All right, thank you very much.
We'll take this break and I'll be back with our feature for this evening.
Come up with a resolution. Violence is never a solution.
This message is brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Charlestown Primary School.
Well, I'm back, and tonight we feature Netball Public Relations Officer for the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association, Ms. J.D. Keynes, is appealing to the general public for full support of the newly revised St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association and its planned activities. Let's take in this exclusive interview with Ms. Keynes. Good evening, viewers. I'm very privileged to have in my presence the PRO of the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association, Ms. J.D. Keynes. JD, welcome to Sports, NTV Sports.
Thank you so much for having me, Curtis.
Well, let's talk a little bit about netball.
Yes.
We had the Nevis Netball Association, and we had the St. Kitts Netball Association, and then all of a sudden we have been bombarded with the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association. Could you put the whole three in perspective?
Okay, perfect. So you're so correct. Previously, we had Nevis Netball Association and then St. Kitts Netball Association, and now we've decided to put everything together as the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association. That doesn't mean that there wouldn't be a physical presence on either island. What it means, though, is that St. Kitts and Nevis will be represented collectively as a federation, as a union, as one country. And so, for example, if we are having any leagues internationally or even regionally, understand that representation will come from St. Kitts and Nevis as a federation, as one country, rather than two separate islands. Now, how are we going to be able to make sure that this works and that there is equity? Well, the executive itself is made up of persons from both islands. Okay. So even though we have a president from St. Kitts, our first vice president is from Nevis. Okay, so yes, we have representation from both islands. And then in the individual islands, what we did was take the former associations, for want of a better term, and broken them down or changed the names, rather, the structure to Nevis Netball or Netball Nevis and Netball St. Kitts. Okay. And so there are officers assigned to certain posts there are officers for Nevis Netball and St. Kitts Netball, but generally the overall decision making, the reporting, the representation comes from the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association.
So to draw another scenario, it could be like the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association is the parent, and Netball Nevis and Netball St. Kitts are the two children.
Yes. Kind of, sort of. Because the thing is, even though Netball Nevis and Netball St. Kitts would be the two children, they still very much have a say in what happens in the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association. Because in fact, the members of the executives are
from both islands.
Yes, are from both
Okay.
islands, and then we even have the chairs of the presidents. Yeah, the chairs of both Netball Nevis and Netball St. Kitts
Who are on
sitting
the executive.
on our executive as floor members.
Well, what is important to me right now is to know that the PRO of the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association is sitting with me. Now, how have you found that position? How have things been going for you?
Well, so far so good. I must commend the team, the leadership of Mr. Dion French. He's been doing a really good job of trying to just put everything together. We just would have got the organization or the association up and running just a few months ago. And so we've had several meetings where we're trying to work out the logistics, because bear in mind, it is something new for the most part, because it existed previously, but many moons ago. And so it is something fairly new, and so we're working out the logistics. And what is great is that our executive is comprised of persons who are professionals in their own right,
Okay.
in various fields in the federation. And so when you're dealing with professionals, things have to be done a certain way, and that is what we are trying to do. And we've been getting pretty good support from the clubs and the Netball Nevis and Netball St. Kitts as the representatives of both islands, on both islands. And so far it's been going okay.
Putting it in a nutshell, how would you describe your, for want of a better word, your job description as PRO?
Okay, so as public relations officer, clearly I relate to the public. Hence the reason I'm here, because I want to share with you, some of the things that we want to do. And you'll be seeing much more of me, because we have a list of things that we want to do. We really want to get netball up and running the way it used to be, perhaps even surpass the way it once was, because netball is a very beautiful sport. It is something that even men would have gravitated to, and so even though it's a female sport generally, so we really want to get netball up and running. And I'm here actually because I wanted to share that we are having a league, or we are planning to
Well, we're
have
gonna
a
get
league.
to that.
Yes, we're planning to have a league, and yes, we'll speak about that soon. But for me right now, we are just trying to get the word out.
Okay.
Like the association is here and netball is here. It's ironic that it's happening at a time like such as this, where we have all these COVID-19 restrictions. But of course, we'll speak about that as well. But yes, so far we've tapped into social media. So if you have not done so yet, please follow us on social media. Facebook, we are St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association.
Great. So the word is getting out.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about one of the big plans upcoming. Tell us about the St. Kitts Nevis Netball League and the logistics in terms of playing on both islands.
Yes. Okay.
Who's going to pay the boat and so on and so forth.
well, I mean, it does sound like a lot, but guess what? It means that it's going to be even more exciting.
Okay.
And so right now we are on a registration drive, because we're trying to get the clubs all registered, as many as possible, for the league, because it's scheduled to kick off on the 17th of July.
Okay.
Which means that registration is ongoing, and the registration fee is $10 per player. So the
Okay.
clubs will pay $10 per player. It's not that you just come off the street and say, I'm paying $10 and I want to play, because then where will you go? Which team will you play for? So what we're saying is that the clubs are required to pay the fee of $10. You can work out your internal logistics as to how you collect those funds. So that is to be paid to us, and it's for both islands. We will have matches on both islands.
Okay.
Obviously, at this point, we do not yet have a fixture,
Okay.
nor do we know when the tournament will end, because it obviously would be based on the number of clubs that are registered. But we will have matches on both islands. As soon as the registration process is complete, what we'll do is obviously look at that and figure out where best we can play the games, because we have facilities on both islands. But if, for example, you don't have any of the teams registered in a particular area, let's say in St. Kitts, that is further out. You may not want to have a league, a match over there, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, we have to work out the logistics, but definitely that is the plan. And so at some point you'll be seeing Kitchens coming over to Nevis to witness the games
And to play.
and play the games, and vice versa. Nevisions going to St. Kitts.
In terms of the registration, let's say that Jenny Sue registers with the Eaglets.
Yes.
She's registered, but maybe there's a fallout, and she wants to play for the Doves. Have you foreseen any such circumstances?
Well, Jenny Sue will be registered under the Eagles, and so it would be now for the Eagles to withdraw Jenny Sue, have a replacement, and then Jenny Sue deals with the Doves. Because bear in mind, the internal logistics would be for the clubs to sort
Okay.
out. We deal with the overall picture.
But you wouldn't want somebody playing for two teams in the same tournament.
No.
Not necessarily.
No,
right?
because then what happens if the teams end up playing against each other?
Exactly.
Yeah, so the idea is you're registering with a club and you're playing with that club for this tournament.
Is there any emphasis on making sure that each team has young players involved?
No. So that's up to the
necessarily.
teams, but I can say that it seems to be a trend, and it's a good trend, where teams are getting a mixture of youth and experience, because we want the game to continue.
Okay.
I know here on Nevis, for example, there was a camp recently
Yes.
for the little ones. I mean, they are a ways off from playing in competitively, but at least they're learning the game. So yes, there has been a mixture, but there's no emphasis at this point to have that being done.
Off the top of your head, how many courts would be available in Nevis? I know for sure Brown Hill is the centerpiece right now. The Grell Hall Stevens Netball Complex is like a desert. So what do we have in Nevis?
So we can't speak on it yet. What I can say though is that yes, the Department of Ministry of Sports would have acknowledged that the courts need, or facilities need some repair work, and recently they would have met with some of our members for a tour of the
Okay.
facility to assess what exactly needs to be done. So there is the hope that soon, I can't speak to when, but there is the hope that we will get the facilities, our main facility, up and running. Because you know, for example, that facility, the Grell Hall Stevens Netball Complex, has the name of some of our greats
Has
on
a
the
lot of
island.
history.
Yes, and we definitely can't feel comfortable knowing that netball is being played on Nevis and not even one game can be played there. We're not saying it would necessarily be ready for the Federal League, but we can definitely say that we've reached out, and the Department and Ministry of Sports has acknowledged, and they are willing to work with us wherever possible.
Are the courts at Old Manor and Bath up to the standard?
We will have to work out the logistics, but we do have some courts that are okay enough or need just minor work. Yes.
Okay. But St. Kitts would have a lot more courts.
Obviously,
So,
yes. I
yeah.
guess we'll have more. Yes.
Well, let's get the dates and the registration fee already mentioned, deadline and start date of tournament, etc.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
Yes, thank you. So the registration is ongoing and it ends on June 18th. Bear in mind that if you are interested in playing, you must be registered with a club. And from the club, you are paying $10 per player. Also, bear in mind that you will do your registration. You will ensure that you're registered by contacting any member of the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association. The numbers will be made available. Also, you can send us an email. You can follow us on social media if you're not at all sure about the requirements, because we've already issued a poster that has, the contact details, etc. The registration ends on the 18th of June, and the tournament is expected to begin on July 17th this year. I know some persons are asking about the current situation as it relates to COVID-19 and the restrictions in place. Yes, that is a cause for concern.
Because
yes,
it is a contact sport,
yes,
right?
yes, it is a cause for concern, and yes, it is something that we are working, bearing with that in mind. But obviously, we still have to plan for the tournament.
Right.
If there are any changes, then we will communicate such. But at this point in time, we are moving towards having our federal league with matches on both Nevis and St. Kitts from July 17th.
Would they be paid for events? Especially if COVID restrictions are relaxed, would spectators be asked to pay, or as the league was held in Brownhill free of cost, would it be similar?
I don't.
You're not sure?
I don't anticipate that all of the matches will be free. I don't
Okay.
anticipate that all of the
Okay.
matches will be
Okay.
free. Bear in mind, you're looking at St. Kitts and Nevis. You know,
Okay.
you're
Okay.
looking at the creme de la creme.
Okay.
You are looking at persons in some cases who you haven't seen in a while,
Okay.
and in some cases there are persons fresh new talent. And so we don't anticipate that all of the matches will be free. But bear in mind, whatever it is, if we do charge a
It would
fee,
be costly.
it
would not be costly.
It would not be costly. It would be very
Affordable.
affordable. Keeping in mind that we would want the entire family to come out.
And finally, JD, is it possible by the longest shot that the PRO might be on the court in a uniform?
It's quite possible. It's quite possible. I'm not saying whether or not it will happen, but it's quite possible that you'll see the PRO on the court playing.
All right. Well, JD, your final words.
Yes,
Close
and
out.
I just want to mention I played netball in my time during my time at primary school and as an adult. I will never say that I was one of the greats. I'm far from being one of the greats, but I love the sport. I love what it has done for me as an individual in terms of developing certain skills, professional skills that is. And I just want to encourage everyone to support netball. Netball is something that can develop your child or even you as an adult in a positive way. You learn a lot of skills, developmental skills, by being part of a netball club. Netball is a wonderful opportunity for you to even represent your country, because now you'll be doing it on a national level, not just an island level. So be sure to support the St. Kitts Nevis Netball Association in the upcoming Federal League, which is expected to kick off on July 17th. Registration is ongoing and will end on June 18th.
Thank you so much, JD. And folks, look out for the action when it commences. COVID or no COVID, we'll be hoping for a wonderful tournament.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Curtis.
Well, that's our package for this evening. I am Curtis Morton, reminding you that you can watch sports if you're not fit. But to play sports requires fitness, diligence, and sacrifice. Have a good night.